So folks, welcome back to the Wanneroo channel. So today we have a Kubota BX tractor video for you. And I'm making this video because hopefully it'll help some folks out there. Whenever we went to solve the problem, did not find a lot of information out there online about it. And also too, using the workshop repair manual, it was kind of a little bit lacking also. So there were some things that we ended up having to figure out on our own. And thanks to the help of my dad pitched in and helped. And then also too, there was another guy, Mike, that really stepped in and helped us out big time to get this sorted out. He's much more mechanically minded than I am. So a lot of this stuff we had to figure out on our own. And again, hopefully this helps everybody out. First thing I'm going to do is show you the tractor here and the three parts that you kind of need to concern yourself with the mower linkage. We'll go to the workbench. I'll show you the old parts in terms of what was starting to cause the issue. And then I'll get into what it took to actually rectify the problem, which now that we know how to do it, it would probably be easy if we had to do it again. But doing it the first time, there was a lot of swearing and, and hours of figuring out all the puzzle pieces. So here we go. So in this case, we've got a BX 2380 here. We have a drive on, drive off mower deck, Messick's on YouTube. They have an excellent video on how to remove your drive on, drive off mower deck. So I recommend checking out that video. The issue that we ran into here, it just kind of happened randomly one day where I went to raise the mower deck, and essentially what was going on was the left side was dropping down to the ground and the right side was kind of high up in the air. So that's whenever we started to have to kind of break everything down and figure out what was going on. Okay, so obviously here we have our mower deck, and our mower deck here is attached to this orange cradle, which is this right here. That is attached to the tractor via a couple of things. First off, up here at the front, you have a pin that goes through the cradle. It's got a cotter pin there, kind of holding it in place through that little hole there. That slides out, so you remove the cotter pin and you pop it out, so that'll detach the front if you need to do that. And then back here at the back, it is also held in place with this other pin right here at the far back here on the left side. So that kind of holds that cradle, essentially. Or the cradle holds the mower deck. And then the next thing that we have is up here, we have the unit for the mower deck where the PTO shaft is, and basically the whole PTO assembly. So there's a bit here on the cradle that extends all the way back to the back there. And you can take it off in one of two ways once you loosen everything up. We ended up this piece back in here. It accidentally popped off the first time when we went to remove it. So in order to get that back on the shaft there, you have to rotate it around and find the notch that it fits into to slide it back on. What we found, the best thing to do was back up underneath here, there is the PTO connector basically. And what you have to do is pull that back and it'll click into place, and then you just have to reinstall it, rotate it around and find the notch essentially to slide that back on. So that's how that is all connected here. And then the next thing that you have is the actual linkage that raises and lowers the mower deck and the cradle. And that's what this is right here. This is attached to the cradle on either side with this pin right here. And then you can see the further linkage running right back through here. That also has a connection to your height adjustment as well. You can start to see how this is getting into a complicated puzzle piece. And that there is connected to a bar that runs back next to the rear tire, back to the rear linkage back there if you have different attachments. So we have a lot going on here. Okay, so here we are in the workshop. So first thing is that these are the parts that came off of the tractor that were damaged or had issues. First thing I want to show you is why the mower linkage was popping off and the mower deck was popping off. And then I will show you basically a little bit about the solution in terms of this piece right here that you have to get out. This is the main bugaboo right here that's going to give you the most issues and cause you a lot of problems to get that taken care of. So first thing is that we ran into was this piece here was starting to get kind of worn down. And you can see especially along this edge right here, pretty much this started to kind of wear, and especially here, that's where it really kind of, for whatever reason, let's see if we can rotate it here a little bit, almost kind of like got hammered out. You can see how it's kind of a little bit squashed there. So that piece there just started to really kind of go. So whether it was just kind of wearing pieces off altogether or smushing it out of shape, in conjunction with this piece here, this link here had started to oval out. So you can see there's a lot of wear with that oval there. So you combine the little nubby piece there that had started to wear away or get smushed, and then this piece here starting to wear away and oval out. It reached a point where basically the two pieces were not going to stay together, and hence it popped off, and then the mower deck was flopping around and all that good stuff. Now here on the right side, we had not run into an issue yet where that side was popping off or maybe was even about to, but we can already see a degree of wear appearing on this nub right here, and then the same thing too on the other link where that was starting to oval out. Not as bad as that left side, but definitely we were getting to a place where that was happening. So probably eventually this was going to go too, and it didn't make any sense to basically leave it in place. The best thing to do is just replace it. The other thing that we didn't realize at first, but we later discovered when we just tried to do the left side here, put everything back in place, was that this here is basically bent or twisted somehow. So whenever we did try to put all that back together, it just wasn't happening. And you can see how it just essentially the two pieces, let's see, what's the best way to show this? This piece right here sits flush with the table, and this piece right here does not. So we found that essentially this bar was somehow twisted or bent or something like that. But when we tried to put just the left side on, it just wasn't going to work because it was just so out of whack. Now, Messick's here, they're probably one of the better Kubota dealers out there in terms of the amount of information they provide, and they have a ton of useful YouTube videos. There wasn't anything out there really that, as I mentioned early in the video, that we could find. Even the workshop manual wasn't super helpful on all this stuff. But pretty much the issue is when it comes to replace all this stuff is that this bar right here, you have to essentially get this out somehow. But the problem is that there's the two frame rails here that this piece has to go through. And there's a ton of stuff in there making kind of contact in it or near it, where it's not a very straightforward thing. This piece right here, this left link, it unscrews. There's two bolts right here, and this piece pops off. But in order to actually get it through somehow and basically get it out, take note right here, this piece. It's kind of like a triangular shaped piece. Take note here on the frame rail. You can see there's like a triangular shaped hole right here. But in order to get it through that hole and to remove it and take it out, you somehow basically have to twist this and rotate it so that you can get it through that hole, okay? And that's where kind of the problem is. And you end up having to, in order to rotate all this stuff around, this whole bar around, with these pieces to clear everything, you end up having to remove a lot of the stuff on the tractor, which I'll point out later, in order to lift all that up so that this piece can rotate around enough to essentially clear this hole right here in the frame rail. Then the next part of it is, once you actually get this out and slid through that driver's side there on the tractor through that frame rail, and you've rotated it around a bit to get it out. Now you have to get it out the other side, or you have to basically negotiate that right frame rail. So this piece is not going to go all the way through that second frame rail. What's going to happen is you're going to have to rotate around, get it through that first frame rail, and then what you're going to have to do is come back through and basically kind of slide it, rotate it out, and you're going to have to pull this whole piece through the second hole in the frame rail. So hopefully that makes sense. And that it's not going to come all the way out to the right. It's going to have to go in through that first frame rail and then back out. And this whole piece here is going to have to slide through that second frame rail. Also take note, there's a variety of other puzzle pieces involved in there. So you can see with this diagram here from Messick's, probably one of the better diagrams out there in terms of you got to make sure that you line all this stuff up exactly, or you'll run into problems. And that's the thing with this whole setup, is that pretty much everything is interconnected one way or another, and that's where the difficulty is. Now I have to say that after we've done this the first time, if we came back to do it again, now that we know what to do, we'd probably go through it real fast. But doing it for your first time, though, trying to figure it all out when there's no real instructions on it, it's a pain in the butt. Hey, let's go look at the tractor now, and we'll see some of the stuff that we had to basically remove to be able to rotate this around and actually get this piece out. You might hear my neighbor in the background. He's riding his BX around right now, mowing. So essentially, underneath here, the part sits going through those two frame rails. Now, you might also go, well, what if I take that part and I take a torch and I cut it and just cut it off? Well, you're still going to have to put the new one in and go through all this anyways. Now, in order to make this happen, a ton of crap has to come off. We got away with not doing too much, I think, but it still took quite a while. So this whole floor pan right here, that has to go. You have to take away all the bolts here on the body work, find all the bolts in here, undo all the body work. Underneath there, I think there's another couple bolts or two where you're going to have to get rid of those. The height adjustment knob, I think that had to go, as I recall. The seat here in the back, we had to lift that up and out of the way. So there is a lever back here, which detaches the seat. We had to lift that up. Now, there was another guy that made a video years ago where he went through a similar thing on his older BX, and he had to take the roll bar off. We did not have to take the rollover bar off, so we were able to leave that intact. However, pretty much there's another bolt here for the body work. We pretty much had to find all that stuff. We had to take the diesel cap off. We had to take all the knobs off here. On the left side here, there's a bolt we had to undo. This body work here didn't need to come up as much, but we still loosened it up anyways, and all that. Then the other thing is the hydraulics here. We had to basically take that bracket off, and also I think there were some other bolts in there holding it on or something. Those had to go too. Then there was still probably a bit more in terms of fussing and fiddling around, but we had to get a few blocks of wood, and then also essentially get a 2x4, put it under here, and essentially lift all this stuff up a couple of inches, so that way, that little piece there that's attached to the height adjustment knob, we could rotate this enough to get this out. And you're going to need to essentially bring it out right. And as you get close to the other frame rail, you're going now, because you've got it kind of loose from the other stuff that's in there, you're probably going to need to rotate it around a few times to get it to clear, or rotate it some to clear some of that stuff. Can't remember exactly, but I know we had to rotate it a bit and kind of wiggle it back and forth, whatever, to get it out. So you come out to the right side, and then as you get close to that one frame rail, you're going to have to come back through and then kind of pop it through kind of go through the hole and I think rotate it around some more and then basically get it out that way. So it's going to have to come out to the right and then back in and then out all the way, drop it to the ground. Then once you have your new part in place, you have to go ahead and start connecting everything back up. From there, it's not too bad as long as you remember where all your bolts went, and to basically put everything back into place where it belongs. So the reassembly took a lot shorter amount of time than it did to disassemble everything at the end of the day. So folks, once we got all that, everything, all the, that part back in there, and we started with the body work and everything and putting everything back to where it needed to be, and we started reassembling the mower linkage. One thing I'd recommend, if you, before you put the cradle on and before you put the mower deck on, is verify that the mower linkage is working and going up and down, up and down, up and down as you move the hydraulics, and just verify that it's actually working and all that. The other piece of advice that we got was we didn't really lubricate those nubs or anything. Now, it went in for factory service, the dealer service a bunch of times. I don't know if they lubricated those or not. We were advised, though, by our mechanic friend to use like a lithium grease on those nubs and stuff. That'll help them and maybe lubricate them a bit and reduce the amount of wear going on with those nubbins. Now, before we wrap up the video, that cradle down there, while we had that off, we went ahead and refurbed that a little bit. We removed a lot of the old paint on it. We replaced that bearing inside of there. And we just kind of gave it a fresh coat of paint, just kind of tarted it up a little bit and freshened it up some. So after we got the motor linkage on, we put the cradle back on, which is pretty easy to do. It just holds in with that one pin, and then the pins here, one on either side to hold the cradle. And then we went through the process to put the mower deck back on. In the end, folks, it was a bit of a pain in the butt, but it was a learning experience. And we ended up getting it done, and the tractor works great now. It works better than it has in quite a while. So we're happy with that. So anyways, hopefully this video helps you out some and gives you some sort of direction or a few tips and tricks about what you might be getting into if you start messing with this mower linkage. Now that we've done it once, if we have to do it again, I think it would go a heck of a lot quicker. If you have any questions, I'm not a Kubota mechanic, but if you have questions, ask them below. Hopefully that helps somebody out there. Even if it helps one person, I'm happy to make this video. Ask questions if you need to, and you know, I'll see if I can help you the best I can. But good luck and Godspeed with this, and y'all have a good day.